ABC News' Kristen Welker pushed back against claims made by Ohio Senator J.D. Vance during a discussion about the cases against Donald Trump. In it, she pushed back on Vance's claim that Joe Biden has been sicking the Department of Justice on Trump, using lawfare to take him down.
That the prosecution of Donald Trump in New York, which I think now is fundamentally been thrown in doubt by this immunity case, it was one of the main guys was a Department of Justice official in the Biden administration who jumped ship to join a local prosecutor's office to go after Donald Trump.
And yet the DOJ
if that
told
doesn't make you question
Senator,
the legitimacy of the prosecution, that's a problem.
Well, Senator, that happens all the time. People are appointed from Washington, but the DOJ told Congress, testified this week
Kristen,
that it reviewed
it happens.
all. Hold on, Senator,
are
let
you
me
really
finish.
saying, Kristen,
Senator,
it
let me finish my
happens
sentence,
all the
then
time?
I'll let you finish. Hold on.
The number.
Let me just
Please.
finish this. The
Go ahead.
DOJ
Sorry.
told Congress this week it reviewed all communications since Biden took office and found no contact between federal prosecutors and those involved with that case in New York. Can you stick to the substance of the question, though?
Can you just stick to the substance of the question? Well, yes, but if I do, then I won't be able to make my absurd point. Kristen, throw me a bone. Come on, man. Look, it's always funny when these people come on the air and pretend to be serious people with serious talking points that aren't backed up by anything. Okay, there's no evidence to suggest that any of this is like, oh, the Biden manipulating things behind the scenes. You know how it is. There is no big deep state conspiracy to get Donald Trump. You know why? Because Donald Trump is still running. He's still there. He's very well might become the next president of the United States, which is disastrous. If the deep state existed and didn't want Donald Trump to run, then he wouldn't be running. It would be like in Russia if, oh, yeah, you know, oh, look at Putin's opponent mysteriously fell out another window after somehow getting poisoned for the third time. Oh, it's only the third time this has happened. Oh, oopsie. Whoopsie. Oh, how'd that polonium get in there? Oh, I have no idea. The idea that this is all a setup, instead of Donald Trump just literally being a lifetime criminal and having that catch up to him, is ridiculous. I will concede one thing, though, that if Donald Trump had not gotten into Republican politics, had not decided to run for office again, and became a Republican donor, right, instead of a politician, then maybe he would be likely allowed to continue robbing the American people. But, you know, you had to push it and get out there and try to basically destroy our democratic institutions. So there's that. Now, Trump, he's out there and he's just rubbing it in our faces how corrupt he is. Okay. And yet, people like J.D. Vance, just letting it go. He gets them to go out there and basically lie for him. Beta bear. Getting back to Vance and his lying, Welker had to step in again and challenge yet another outrageous lie.
Meanwhile, Joe Biden wants taxpayer-funded abortion up to the moment of birth. It's so crazy to me how the Democrats frame this as Republicans. Just let me finish, Kristen. They frame Democrats as being reasonable and pragmatic, when in reality, Republicans are the one trying to find some common ground here.
As you know, very few abortions take place later in pregnancy, and almost always because there is a medical emergency.
You see, it's the Republicans that are trying to find common ground. You know what was common ground? That was Roe. Okay, the national framework that says you can't ban abortions, you can regulate them to a certain extent, but you can't outright ban them. Okay, so yes, you can have some rules and regulations that, of course, Republicans have used to chip away at access to abortion. But generally, Roe, when it comes to the American people, that's where the people are at. That's why they supported Roe. Okay, just the ability for people to get an abortion up to a certain amount of time. Okay, a certain amount of weeks. Okay, viability essentially, and so Republicans are not with the rest of the American people. They're not the reasonable ones. No, they're the ones that as soon as Roe, was overturned, those red states were putting in just incredibly draconian abortion bans that didn't have any exceptions for rape and incest or the life of the mother. So in some of them. And so, again, ridiculous. Getting back to Welker, she's correct when she says there's no abortion up to the moment of birth, right? Unless, of course, something has gone extremely wrong with the pregnancy, as in, of course, the fetus is not going to survive, or the mother, or likely both, right? And so, yes, you have to do those emergency measures in order to save lives. Okay, that's when it happens. There is just no like decision like, up to the moment of birth. Oh, I'm crowning, and so, it turns out I don't want this. Can you just do an abortion right now? No, that's not what happens. It's ridiculous. The vast majority of abortion happens during the early stages of pregnancy, which is when, again, most Americans agree that it should be legal and safe. And really, safe is the most important thing here, because when you outlaw it, you don't get rid of abortion. You just get rid of safe abortion. Okay? So people like J.D. Vance, though, understand, and Trump, by the way, now they're adopting this softer tone on abortion. And they have to do that because, again, it's not popular, but at the same time, they still have to be for the end of Roe. They have to celebrate that and say, well, ultimately, it's a good thing because we gave the power to the states. Oh, you gave the power to the states. And what have many of them done with it? Oh, right. They have severely limited abortion, if not outright gotten rid of it. So, they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that. And look, they do that because there are followers who want to use this talking point, this pro-life stance, in order to really control women. Because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. But like I said, abortion bans, not popular. In fact, Donald Trump and Republican politicians, they've had to back away from talk of a national abortion ban. So that's recent. In fact, J.D. Vance in this interview said he even supported access to mifepristone, which is a pill that is used for abortion. So now that, by the way, had conservative podcaster Steve Deese raging. He writes on X/Twitter, "This is a very sad and morally repugnant / sinful from Vance. Mifepristone chemical telemed is how 2/3 of babies are murdered in America nowadays. But also like Rubio, he is doing this to be Trump's running mate because that's what Trump wants." So here's the thing, though. Donald Trump does not care about this issue, right? Not personally. That's why he goes back and forth, where he's like, "Oh yeah, I ended Roe, yeah, but I also don't want a national abortion ban." He wants the evangelical vote, but also wants the vote of as many people who are pro-choice, which is the majority of the country, as he can get, so that he can get into power. Look, it's all politics for Trump, right? It's also all politics for people like J.D. Vance, as well as Marco Rubio, etc. A bunch of Republicans, because they know this election, abortion rights are going to be on the ballot. And they're afraid of losing as a result of this issue, just like they lost in a lot of midterm elections in the last round of midterms, where you had Roe on the ballot, people reminding them, Republicans ended abortion, Republicans ended abortion, Republicans ended abortion. They, rolled back women's rights. They ended Roe. And that allowed them to get their asses handed to them. And they do not want to repeat, especially in this election where Donald Trump, again, could be handed an enormous amount of power thanks to Project 2025 and the Supreme Court. So they really don't want to screw up their chances on this one if women are able to get out there and be empowered to vote for their own bodily autonomy. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. Patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.